Welcome to another edition of JU Dolphins Up Close. I'm Scott Manzi. Humans have been enamored with the concept of flight ever since the first caveman watched a bird sail over his head, seemingly leaving all the troubles of the world behind. Orville and Wilbur Wright took this to a crescendo when they first left the ground in Kitty Hawk years ago. This led to the jet age, a romantic ideal of the concept of exploring, traveling, testing the bounds of physics of what humans were able to do. This led to the space age, which further pushed those boundaries and took man where no man has ever been before or since. Now, students still have the opportunity to explore this kind of romantic ideal at JU within the Aviation department offered as part of the College of Business. Even student athletes, despite the amount of time they spend on the field, on the court, in the weight room, in the practice realm, still find time to achieve this lofty goal, this ideal of flying with their head among the clouds.
There are over 100 universities that have an aviation department, but JU is just one of 26 to be accredited by the Aviation Accreditation Board International and is unique in offering its program through the Davis College of Business so that both majors get the business core as well. Combine that with a high-profile athletics department, and you have something that sets you apart. There are numerous student athletes that major in either flight ops or aviation management in the Davis Aviation School. For some, like baseball player Alex Seifert, it was the perfect storm of opportunity.
After high school, getting my private pilot's license and flying all through high school, I was definitely looking towards the aviation part of majoring, as well as getting a baseball scholarship here. That kind of made my options very limited. Only school that I got and offered to come here to play baseball that has also aviation majors, so kind of led me to make my decision to come here.
Seifert developed his love for flying at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy in Lakeland, a byproduct of his love for baseball.
I started looking for a baseball school to go to, and as I went to that baseball school, I was out of their district. So I went to a school, an aviation academy, or an aerospace academy, and I kind of didn't have anything to do with aviation. I just wanted to play baseball for that school. So playing baseball and going through all the aviation classes and stuff, I got very interested. And by my junior year, I started picking up flight and stuff like that, and I got a flight training scholarship. So that really made me really pick it up and love what I do.
For others, such as rower Jenny Pavlik, the decision to fly wasn't made until college, where JU proved to be the best fit.
Probably the professors. I met with Captain Willett right away for my first meeting, and he was just open, told me everything about the flight program, how the professors were one-on-one with each other, with you and the student, and then TAs, they have teacher assistants who are certified flight instructors, and they help you one-on-one with anything you need, and that was sort of the drawing point, and small classes.
Once she found a home on campus, her love of sports prompted her to walk onto the rowing team.
I've always played sports and always part of sports team, and I was like, why not try it, and fell in love with it.
So you have no rowing experience?
No rowing experience prior to college yet.
Wow.
New challenge and the opportunity was there. I saw flyers around join rowing, and I just decided, and I have always been a part of team sport, like I said, and that was rough coming here knowing that I wasn't going to play a sport and be near with the teammates or whatever, so I wanted to try that.
Flight ops majors at JU don't spend much time in simulators. They are in a plane day one.
The first week of my freshman year, I was up in a plane, the Cessna 172, already flying, learning stuff. They put me through training, and you go through flight briefs, they're ground lectures, basically ground school, and you learn about that, and then they'll go up and they'll do the maneuver, and then they'll ask you to do it, and it's that's just how they teaching and learning.
For others like senior rower April Beck, aviation doesn't necessarily mean flight.
I really got interested in air traffic control. During my senior year of high school, I went to a college and career fair here in Jacksonville, and there's a technical school just for air traffic control, and that's what got me interested in it. I went and visited and got to play on their simulation, and I had a professor with me, helping me talk to them, and so that's what really got me interested. But through that technical school, I don't get a degree, and that's what brought me here to JU, is that they actually have a program, aviation management, and I can learn about air traffic control and earn a degree as well.
Seifert started in the ops major, but time conflicts prompted a switch to the management track.
Well, first of all, I came in, I got everything squared away money-wise, and then I got my flight block for up at Aerosim, and that was at the same exact time as practice for the fall season. So I tried to work it out. I tried to get my flight block rescheduled, but how hard it is to get your flight block rescheduled here with as many kids that fly here, it was very tough. So I kind of had to make a choice, just go management, get my degree, and play baseball. So that's kind of the decision I made, as well as in the back of my head, I knew I wanted to go military. So that kind of changed my mind too, to fly here at Aerosim or just fly in the military.
He misses the flight aspect, but now he can get the aviation experience without the conflicts.
The big difference in the major is the one your flight operations, you fly and you have a flight block, but you get the same degree as in aviation management. I would say the one thing I miss the most is probably just the flying, but I mean, you get the same degree. I get to go to all the aviation classes, aviation weather, aviation law. I still learn about it, so it still kind of satisfies me in learning about that career.
For Jenny, the early practice times for rowing are helpful in being able to fit everything in.
We get out off the water around like 7:30. I have plenty of time to go to my classes, and they're really, if I have to miss because of flight or whatever, I just text them and they're fine about it.
That doesn't mean it still isn't a challenge to manage her time.
It's relatively hard, but I fly Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, so I wake up, go to practice, go to my 8 a.m., and then I fly from roughly 10 to 12, and then I don't have anything till weights till 4:30, so I can manage my time, like homework, time like that.
Having an older teammate in the program helps as well.
I'll ask her about classes and how the professor is and so on.
She's asked me about certain classes. We take very similar classes, and about certain professors, and how does he like to do things, kind of questions like that.
JU is one of only 36 universities in the country selected by the Federal Aviation Administration to educate future air traffic controllers, with the added bonus of an intimate learning environment.
I've had a class of only 6 people before, and so you really get to know your professors, you get to know your whole graduating class, really.
While many are drawn to the sexiness of being among the clouds, April is just as drawn to the ground aspect.
Well, it's a government job, so there's great pay, great benefits. It is considered a really stressful job, but I believe that I can handle that stress, and just knowing that you're doing an important job is really a good draw to it.
While set to graduate in the spring, she still has work ahead to achieve her dream of becoming an air traffic controller.
FAA Academy in Oklahoma City, that's where I would go. Once I apply for the position and get hired, I would go to the academy for about 3 months, get training there, and then you're doing on-the-job training at the tower you're going to work at for about 2 years until you're a full certified air traffic controller.
Both Seifert and Pavlik have common goals, if not different paths to achieve them.
I'm definitely looking towards the Navy. I have some family members that have been through the Navy and been through the flight in the Navy. So that seems like the best for me, as well as I got a few connections, to hook up with after I graduate, to try to jumpstart my way into getting into officer school.
I think I'm going to go in the Navy or Air Force after graduation, and then I want to become a commercial pilot. That's my main goal, but go in the service before.
Regardless of direction, there is a common sentiment amongst those who fly.
Being up in the sky, it's a whole nother world up there. I just think about flying, and that's about it.
Oh, there's no other feeling. There's no other feeling. Being up there, no traffic, nothing, just flying through the clouds is the best feeling you could ever imagine.
"50 years ago, strength and conditioning programs were seen as something foreign, far away. Other countries preparing for Olympic trials showed crazy videos of guys running up and down mountains or carrying things above their head. Well, in this day and age, strength and conditioning is not only the norm, but a necessity if you are to compete at the highest level of collegiate athletics. Enter Andrew Bates, the director of strength and conditioning at JU, whose arrival has not only restructured the strength and conditioning program for the Dolphins, but has also added plenty of trophies to the mantle.
Andrew Bates is in his third year as the head strength and conditioning coach and has been busy his first few years on the job.
From a football perspective, the entire strength and conditioning program was in pretty poor shape when I arrived. Injuries were up. We had over 30 surgeries the year before I got here as a football team only. We're down to around 5 or 6 last year, and that number's gone down every year. Basically, just the type of training that we're doing with the guys was the major influence on that. After arriving here at JU, one of the first things I noticed is just how overall the strength of our team was very poor, and they hadn't done a wide variety of training. For instance, they hadn't done a single leg movement with their legs, I guess at all, with the old coach. So my first day here, we started off with lunge walk day. If you talk to some of our guys about lunge walk day, they could tell you that it's probably the hardest thing that we do here. And after that first day, the guys kind of looked at each other and said, this guy's for real. And it was a rough morning for them, but it was a great stepping stone to start, the process of where we are right now.
The biggest thing that has changed in the program is the attitude.
I try to relay to our kids that it's not so much what you're doing, but it's how you do it. The attitude that you bring into training. It's tough. You got to be tough. And I preach toughness, discipline, and effort. Effort is huge. If you want to improve, you got to put the effort forth. If you don't put the effort in, you're not going to improve. So I guess relating to how I like to coach my kids from that philosophy is effort, discipline, and toughness are probably on the top. If you can't get that done, your program's going to struggle to be successful. And I feel like every single year we've gotten better and better and better from that aspect.
While Bates seems like a natural for the position, the former college football player didn't seem destined for the job.
Yeah, I didn't really want to do this as my first thing. When I was going through school, my plan was to be a professional bass angler and fish tournaments for a living. A year out of school, I ran out of money and I had to get back into something, and strength and conditioning was my backup plan. But I didn't really figure that out till my junior year when I had a strength coach come into the school I was at and really kind of open my eyes to what it actually is supposed to be like to train and prepare to win championships.
Heading up the program at JU requires versatility in training.
Cross country is not lacrosse, and even men and women's lacrosse vary. When I was at Marshall, where I did my graduate work, I was actually an Olympic strength and conditioning GA, so I had to train 7 teams on my own that I programmed for directly: golf, tennis, women's soccer, cross country, track and field, and on top of that I got to work with football at the same time. And at that time at Marshall really helped me see just how many different ways there are to train and what types of different things you need to do to help out those teams. Here currently I do football and men and women's lacrosse directly. Although I oversee the department, those are the teams that I train for. Every sport is different. You just got to look at what the demands are and program accordingly to make sure you're meeting those demands. And you find different ways to do that.
The correlation between Bates starting at JU and injuries decreasing is not a coincidence.
Strength training and injury prevention to me is critical. I mean, obviously a stronger joint, a stronger muscle is going to be more resilient to injury. But not only strength training, but everything goes into that. Flexibility is huge for injury prevention. If your own muscle can only go to a certain point and then it gets injured, well, if we can get it to go beyond that point before it gets injured, obviously you're going to be better off. But I think developing an overall strength to make your joints tougher, more resilient, that's going to be what's going to help prevent injuries the most.
There is also a strong relationship between the strength and conditioning department and the athletic trainers.
Doug Fry, our athletic trainer for football, I speak with him on an hourly, minutely basis, often with our guys. We could be in the middle of a workout, and I notice a guy is holding something, doing a weird range of motion, walking a little bit funny, and I'll ask him right now, what's going on? And then I'll go to Doug. I'll ask him, what's going on? Have you seen this guy yet? Well, be ready. He's going to come see you today because we got to take care of this issue. And he'll come and alert me before lift groups about so-and-so's got a shoulder issue. We need to modify this workout. And we modify everything in our weight room. If you roll your ankle, you're going to be training from that ankle up, and we're not going to miss any body parts. So when you get back, you're ready to go right away. And the rehab protocols through our athletic training staff are huge with accommodating us. I'll find out what they're doing in their rehab program for that day, and tailor that into what we're doing in our workout that day to make sure we don't overwork a certain area, or if one area needs special attention, that we really hammer it to make sure we get our guys back as fast as we can. I also am in touch with my lacrosse coaches in the same, through whether it's email or face-to-face, to find out injury reports, what's going on, how are the girls or guys progressing back to full participation, and how can we speed that process up.
Strength training, like any other field, is constantly evolving.
Well, there's many philosophies that are around the country from a strength training perspective. I've been around many coaches. I kind of grew up in a high-intensity background. There's not too many of those coaches out there anymore. That's more of a machine-based training to failure. We don't have any machines in our weight room, minus a hip press. So obviously that's not going to work in our system. There's also Olympic-style coaches that do mainly Olympic movements on the platforms. Now, there's not one discipline that is winning championships year in and year out when you look at what they're doing, the championship programs. So I feel like over my time I've pulled from each discipline and added into what my overall philosophy is. And it's pretty much do everything you can to put your guys in the best position for what's going to happen to them. And you never know what's going to happen to them. So it's better to try to cover all your bases. I try to stick everything in a push-pull type movement. If we're going to bench, we're going to do a pull, like a row or a pull-up. If we're going to squat, we're going to do a hamstring. If one week we do a bench press flat, the next day we're going to do an incline. If one day we do a double leg squat, then we're going to do a single leg step up or lunge. I'm really just trying to cover as many things as I can to make sure that our guys will be successful no matter what ends up coming up their way. I'd say the biggest thing that I'm seeing now is a lot of FMS stuff, functional movement screening stuff. And yeah, functional movement screening is important, and you can get some good information from a functional movement screen. But I'm not terribly worried about that, because a lot of the stuff that they're covering in the functional movement screen is stuff that I'm already going over in my workouts, and we're already trying to take care of that. We went through and tested our guys last year, and we found that about 80-90% of the guys all had the same types of dysfunction. So why not just tailor everything into our workouts already to kind of take care of that aspect of it, and then work on training hard, getting the guys stronger and tougher and being more physical.
At the heart of it all, the basics stay the same.
The core of it's pretty basic. Things that don't change too much as far as exercise selection and choices. New research may come out saying that one is better than the other. And they may have some truth behind that, and you may adjust accordingly. But it's pretty much the basic fundamentals of weightlifting and strength training will hold true. They've held true, 50 years ago, and 50 years from now, it'll be about the same thing. You'll see the fads that come and go, but the general core is about the same.
For Bates, there is a reason he enjoys working in college athletics the most.
I love seeing kids develop. Like right now, I'm going on to my third year is getting completed, on to my fourth year. So I'll get to see my freshman class that came in my first year go to their senior class. And to see, we had a rough year 2 years ago, to see the success we had this season at 9-2, and to watch those seniors develop through the last 2.5 years to the point that they got to, that's what's exciting to me. And then to see this next class go through and get even better and better. And I'm also, working now with Andrew Robustelli and DeAndre Randall, helping them prepare for their pro days to hopefully carry their football career beyond JU. But ultimately, I'm just looking for the success of my kids. Whether it's in the classroom, in the weight room, on the field, or beyond life, I'm trying to help set them up for success in any aspect of their life with what we're doing here, as far as the standards that we hold, the hard work that we put in. And hopefully they'll carry that on their entire life.
It's always football season in the South, right? No different at JU, where spring practices have just wrapped up with the annual spring game taking place in March. JU, now on a title defense, has a unique and different way of going into off-season workouts, which are certainly not easy by any stretch of the imagination. Workouts, practices, spring game, this is all just part of the exhibition schedule leading up to the fall, but it's where the trophies and the championships are won. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of JU Dolphins Up Close. I'm Scott Manzi. Until next time, I'm bidding you good night.